Welcome to today's Tanup tutorial. What is Tanup? To put it in a nutshell, Tanup is an online laboratory for psychology and neighboring sciences. It helps you to work together with your colleagues, participants and customers, and it supports you in managing your increasingly complex range of tasks involved conducting your research. From a bachelor thesis to large-scale multi-university transcontinental research projects. And Tanup includes all tools and technologies needed by you to conduct your research better, faster, and much more effectively. So if you're not a psychologist, don't worry. So let's see if Tanup also works for you by exploring the term neighboring science a little bit more. What you see here is a map of science. It is based on analyzing 1 million papers from 7,000 peer-reviewed journals. And is based on problem-solving families, or the question how researchers cognitively frame research problems and how they are framing and how to solve it. And this approach combines, for example, co-citation analysis, bibliographic coupling, textual analysis. We don't need to go into that, but what it means here in this map, that scientific fields which do research similarly are represented closer to each other and are thus called neighboring sciences. What we see is that in this map of science, we have 7 science clusters. First of all, of course, is psychology and social science. You see that they are close together, meaning that they're doing their research similarly. Then you have math, physics, chemistry, earth science, and medicine. So, for example, mechanical engineering and dentistry, they're very far from each other, meaning that they are probably approaching research very differently. And we calculated that roughly 30% of all researchers in this map of science, this would be roughly 30%, that they could benefit from TunHub. So you see that it covers social science, psychology, it covers public health, it covers a wide range of medicine, it also covers anthropology, also economy and geography, everything when it comes to market research. We might have different questions, but the research process, it's very, very similar. So let's dive into how Tanup was constructed. Most of the people think that we researchers are sitting in a lab alone and doing research by thinking in a rocking chair, but that's not the case. We are surrounded by a lot of people. For example, we have research assistant, we have investigators, we have a department team, like an administrational team, we have data analysis, we have software developers, and because we're conducting research on people, we also have to communicate with our participant pool. First of all, we have to find them, but then we have to communicate with them. And in a lot of EU projects or a lot of transcontinental projects, we also have collaborating universities which also have this area of people in that in this project working. So you see in this picture, it's a very complex task to conduct research. And each research itself also follows always a 10-step process. So first of all, you set up a study. Then you conduct a survey or questionnaire. As I said, you recruit your participants. That can be a hassle. Every researcher knows that. Then you run your study. You pay your participants. Imagine you have a research with 1,000 people and everybody gets $5. That can be very complex. Then you analyze your data. You try to present your data in a certain form. And mostly for a lot of people, you want to publish your data, or you want to publish your findings. And now, a lot of you start to commercialize your findings too. For example, you're selling your paper, you're selling your reports, you're selling your findings. And the last step is improving your product or improving your theories, and then the research cycle starts again. So if we combine this complex research process with the previous slide, we see that research, it's a complex thing. And this is what Tanup is all about. It's an online laboratory which covers all the bases for this complex process in one system. How do our competitors do? Well, a lot of you have worked with, or probably are working with several of these companies, or also with Office from Windows. And for example, you've been working with Presentation and ePrime. Some of you have been working with SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics. Some of you have been managing your research process with Sonar System, or try to find participants with Call for Participants. But what you see here is that each column identifies one task in this research process, and that each of the companies, they're doing one thing very well, or a few things very well, but they don't cover the whole research process. And this is what the process is being slowed down by, that the automatization is not possible. You always have to jump from one software to another without the ability that these softwares are talking to each other or syncing their data. And that's the basis for errors. That's the basis for slowing you down. So what we did in TunHub, we tried to automate this process and put all the tasks in one system so that all the data are always synced with each other. So as we saw, TunHub is an online laboratory for psychology and neighboring sciences. To wrap it up, you as a researcher can manage your studies, and the participants, they can engage in these studies within our system. But TunHub is more. It's a marketplace because you can commercialize your findings. Customers, they can buy your reports and papers right out of our system, and the customers, they can use apps. That means that if you have developed, for example, a diagnostic application, you can also sell that with a few clicks in our shop. So let's have a look what actually apps means. Well, because we're in the field of psychology and neighboring sciences, we obviously are focusing on e-health and business applications. There are five fields we are covering. There's diagnostic, for example, if you're developing a test or assessment. Then there's training app, where you try to improve abilities. A lot of business applications are focusing on that. Then there are therapy apps, for example, for treating anxieties. That's mostly the field of medicine, psychology. Prevention apps and rehabilitation apps. So if you have been developing for several years in these fields, come talk to us, and we will set you up and you can sell it within our system. After our research, we saw that each year 59,600 scientifically validated mental health apps are created in universities, but almost none are converted. That's a huge number, and why is that? Well, first of all, the technological and operational thresholds for you to commercialize are very, very high. You have a good idea, maybe you have a good finding, but you don't have the money or the ability to actually put it into an online product and sell it. But on the other hand, when we look at the e-health market, the risk for patients today is very, very high, because almost no commercially available e-mental health or e-health app is scientifically validated. So you see this big gap. On the one side, you as a researcher have a huge potential, a huge market of products which could be commercialized, but the people who are commercializing are mostly not researchers. So with TunHub, we can close this gap and get you going and give you the ability to make a lot of money. Thanks a lot for watching this tutorial about what is TunHub, and in our next video we are actually going to jump into the software itself. Thanks a lot for watching.